The first thing we're going to do is look at our color wheel. We start off, you guys got your primary colors, your red, your yellow, and your blue. You also have a black and you have a white. So we can mix all these colors to get any color that we want at all. You guys probably know red and yellow will make your orange, red and blue will make your purple, and blue and yellow will make your green. We can put whites in these and make pinks and different types of colors. We can also put blacks in these to make them a little bit darker. If you put black in them, be very careful. You only need a little bit of black in there. And then here is your other choice. I'm going to start up here in this tail corner, and I'm going to go down to, let's go to the first little scale. I'm going to follow my line. It's going to curve right along with this part of the tail. The key thing when I'm drawing this is I'm not looking where my pin is. I'm looking where I want my pin to go. I'm going to do the same thing over here. If I feel like I'm going to get on that heart, I'm going to skip that heart. I'm going to hit it right there. Okay, the next one I want to do, I want to kind of go on that one. But I think what I would like to do, I want this to look a little bit like a heart. So I'm going to head to right here on that middle one. Hit the same point down there. See how that kind of looks like a heart? Now I'm going to fit two more in here, and I'm going to have them go to here also. I'm going to go to that middle one. I still want to go there. I'm going about halfway in between. I'm going to skip the heart. There we go. The first thing we're going to do is grab the blue paint. Use about a nickel size amount and your sponge brush and get some water. Soak your sponge brush with water. Now mix it in there. We're going to kind of make a watercolor here. We want this to look like water, so our paint has to be watery. I have my sponge brush and I dipped it into water. I'm just going to paint the whole canvas, the sides and everything with water, and then we'll do a watercolor wash. Now we're going to need some blue paint. I've got about a pea-sized amount of paint and my sponge brush. My sponge brush is still wet, and we're going to make a real watery blue. Hopefully that water on your canvas is still wet. You'll know because it's shiny. Go ahead and go in there. Don't forget your sides. Get some blue on your sides and your tops and your bottom, and go all the way down to the bottom. Get a good layer of blue on there. Stop about a third way down and tilt your canvas up. Let that blue fall down into that water. It'll make a really pretty wash that looks like water. I have my sponge brush back and it has a bunch of water. I'm just going to make that blue smooth, and I want it really, really light. Now if you want, you can tip that canvas in the other direction so the blue goes more to the top and it's darker up there. That'll get it lighter on the bottom. We need to mix up a green for the tail. I've got about a quarter of amount of yellow and just a drop of blue, and I'm going to mix that up really, really good. If we want our green to be brighter, we can use some more yellow. We need to paint the tail in one thin layer. Let it dry. If you think you need another layer, go ahead, but you want to be able to see those scales through there. So for sure, one layer, you'll be able to see those scales. If you can't see the scales afterward, here's a trick. Put your canvas up to a bright window and you'll be able to see right through the canvas. You'll be able to see those scales again. Take your black pen and draw them back on. Notice how far up I went. I didn't cover all the scales. We're going to make another color and we're going to blend. Save that green though, you're going to need that. Now we're going to mix up a light blue. I have about a quarter of amount of white and just a dot of blue. Mix that up all really, really good. Now I'm going to do the rest of the tail. I'm going to start really close to the green and let it touch into the green just a little bit. I want those two colors to mix. If you need to, you can go back with some green later on and get a really good mix. Go ahead and watch how I do it, and then finish up your tail. I have those two colors mixed now, so I'm drying off my brush, cleaning it all up, and dipping back in just to that blue. That way that blue, you can really see the difference. I'm going to make sure I mix that blue into with that other blue-green mixture, so it's just not like a straight line, but I just want the top of the tail blue. Don't worry about going over those lines. Don't go over the heart, but go ahead and go over those black lines. They're not going to disappear, just like the scales won't disappear. Finish up the blue on the tail and then let everything dry. If you need to pause the video, you go ahead and pause the video. When everything is dry now, we can see all of the lines we need to see. And we're going to just take some straight yellow and we're going to make some highlights on the scale and in the tail. Go ahead and watch how I do it. There's really no right or wrong way. What I'm doing is I'm picking one side of the scale and I'm putting it on there, and then I'm putting it in random places on the end of the tail. Let's mix up a lavender. I had about a quarter size amount of white paint and a dot of blue and 2 dots of red. That'll probably give us a pretty good lavender. You make it however you want it to look. My lavender looks like this, and we're going to do about the same thing as we did with the yellow. We're just going to highlight some areas of the scales, and I picked the other side this time. Then I went ahead and I did some on the end of the tails too. See how I'm going with the lines that you can see there already, those black lines? Doesn't matter where you put it. Watch me for a little bit. I'm going to mix up a pink. I have about 3 parts white to 1 part red. You can make your pink any shade of pink that you want. Mine looks like this. I'm going to use this pink in the heart of the tail, and then I'm going to put a few more highlights wherever I think they need to go. I've decided the end of my paintbrush needs a little bit flatter, so that's why I'm wiping it there and then I'm loading it back up. When I make it flatter like that, it just makes the lines a little bit thinner. The harder you push on your canvas, the bigger your lines are going to be, so you don't want to push real hard. Let's work on this heart here for a while. Don't put too much paint on your paintbrush. It'll get gloppy and it's going to make it harder work for you. Now we can work on the highlights and the rest of the tail with this pink. Again, I'm just picking somewhere where I think it might look good at. Yours can be anywhere. Spread it out, make it in different areas. Anywhere that you think it needs to be, probably needs to be there. Don't forget that second coat on that heart. Our next step is that black pen. Make sure everything is dry before you use this black pen. If you need to, get a hair dryer and blow dry it, or just wait till the next day. If it's wet, if that paint is wet, you're going to mess up that marker. You won't like that at all. All I'm doing is going around the edge. If I tilt it to the side, I get a thinner line if I tilt that marker. If I have it more up and down, I can get a thinner line. I have it tilted because I want my outline to be nice and thick. I'm going to turn my canvas over so I can work on the tail just a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and follow my lines. I didn't do a great job following these lines. There are some of the black lines underneath that you can still see through that I didn't go over exactly, and it actually kind of looks pretty cool. Now we have to start working on the scales. I do have my pen kind of tipped up more now. I'm getting a little bit thinner line, and that's the way I wanted the inside of the tail to look. All the scales are done, and now I'm going to put a little dot in the top center of each scale. Once all your dots are done, it's time for glitter. You can put glitter anywhere that you want on this painting. It's your painting. I'm going to put it all over the mermaid. I'm going to use the blunt end, the back end of my paintbrush, and I'm going to start doing dots. Have a little bit of white there, and as I go down and use the paint up, my dots will get smaller and smaller. So you might want to load up your brush. You can put the dots anywhere that you want, but you can see where I put my dots. You can see in the lower right hand corner, I put summer vibes. You could put your name there, you could put any word you want there, or you don't have to put anything at all. I've decided to put some little white dots underneath the black dot. It's not quite underneath, it's on the bottom. I don't want to cover up the black altogether. Thank you so much for painting this summer vibe mermaid tail with me.